And today we are going to be doing how to gain self-acceptance. And this is just a phase that honestly we really can struggle with if we have so much inner critic. So much inner critic from the stories that we've told ourselves over the years, the experiences we've had, the feedback we've been given from other people, and we can continually feel stuck in being able to accept every part of ourselves. When we can finally feel authentic self acceptance, both our positives and everything that's negative about us, we can step into peace. So, how can we gain? Sounds so simple, but yet so hard. So, I'm just going to take you through some of the steps that I found most successful. Going to take you through those steps and questions that you can go through yourself. So, write those down. It's going to be very helpful whenever you're in a moment of questioning yourself or hearing that inner critic. You're going to want to ask these questions. I'll take you through that method, and then we're going to finish on a lovely mantra to support that feeling. So the first step is the awareness of the inner critic within you. When you hear yourself attacking, something's happened, something's triggered you, whatever it is, and you hear that voice. When you hear that voice come up, know that that is a habitual response that you've probably had for many, many years. We need to talk to ourselves and our inner child. And that takes practice. That can feel weird, strange, uncomfortable. It can sound like, oh, that's crap. When you hear yourself say, oh, this is just rubbish, that will never work, that's our ego resisting transformation. It's there to protect you, but it's resisting the work, the commitment, the devotion, the change. How dare you think you can become better and not have me anymore there needing and protecting you? So our ego's job is great, but it can also really keep us stuck for decades. For decades, not just a few minutes. Our ego can keep us stuck for years. So if you hear any resistance, and you know the resistance sounds like negative attitude towards the work that you're doing for yourself somatically, that's your ego. When you hear that inner critic, first of all, we need to acknowledge our inner child. So, hand on heart, I hear you, Sam. And it's so powerful and important to say your name. I hear you, Sam. So we need to acknowledge first. Once we acknowledge, we can go into awareness. We need to learn a little bit more about what's really underneath the lying emotion, the truth behind the inner critic. It's not that, oh, I just want to stop having a go at myself and telling myself that I'm fat and I hate my body and that I'm ugly. Whatever the issue is that you're criticizing yourself on. And I always use that one because I've said that to myself so many times. I hear you, Sam. Where's this coming from? Question number one. Where's this coming from? And as you ask yourself these questions, just sit and stillness, rocking if you want to rock. I always rock. And when you're speaking to your inner child, give her time to show up. And don't pressure. If nothing comes up, I always say to people, if nothing comes up in the moment, we can ask again later. But it's important to sit with her now and ask, where's this coming from? You may even recall an event back in the past. A memory might come up, and if it does, just allow it to just float on by and just be aware. I understand. And yeah, it does mean that in your 30s and your 40s and your 50s, you can still be stuck on something that happened to you when you were a child. And the last thing is to then attack ourselves and be like, you should be over this by now. No. Again, that's resistance, and it's also our inner critic, and that's a habitual response. We're not over it, and we need to acknowledge that we're not. She's still not over that. Okay, so where's this coming from? And at this point, I always like to give myself a hug. When I know now where that's coming from, it's important to give myself a hug. And the havening technique of somatic healing, just very slowly stroking ourselves from the shoulders all the way down the arms, can be so very healing. It activates our parasympathetic nervous system. It activates the vagus nerve and gives us a signal to relax and to know that we're safe. So once we've asked that question, then we can ask question 2. What do you need? And sit with this emotion. This is usually where we may feel a little choked because we know that we have been without this need for quite some time. It might be that we haven't received this from other people in our lives, but we need to put them to one side because this is about us. This is about you and your inner child and you giving it to yourself. This is not about other people. So what do you need? A similar question can also sound like, what are you missing? What are you missing? And again, allow any answers to come forward that come forward, allow them to just come up. And then we move into our final question. What can I do to give it to you? What can I do to give it to you? This is radical self-responsibility. As I said, this is not about anybody else giving it to us. We must give it to ourselves first. If anybody else provides us what we need in life, that's a bonus. But we cannot go out there searching. The answers are in here. What can I do now to give that to you? And again, allow whatever comes up to come up. And if you're going through this video doing this for yourself with me, and I'm with you now, and you watch this later on replay, you can always pause the video in between questions so you can give yourself the time you need for the answers to come up, and then you can carry on playing me for the next question. That's fine. So I've got you. Once you know and you have your answers, I've got you. I've got you. This will help us build self-acceptance. Self-acceptance isn't just going to happen. We're not just going to wake up one morning and all of a sudden accept every part of ourselves. We have to go there. We have to connect. We have to ask the questions. So that's the awareness part. Once we have that information, we now know a lot. We know what it is that we're missing, what we need, and we know what we need to do. So we can move into commitment. We can set ourselves a small, easy goal to help us achieve that. So perhaps something came up that was, yeah, okay, I could do that for myself. I could do this a bit more. We need to turn that into a goal. Now, we don't want to do a marathon and we don't want to fail and fall arse over tits. We women are terrible for giving ourselves a million goals and achieving none of them. Okay? Sometimes we're great and sometimes we're on it. And other times we get overwhelmed. We make these massive goals. We can't achieve them. Feed straight back into the inner critic. Well, you're a shit anyway in the first place. I don't know why you even fucking bother trying. And that whole cycle of inner critic starts all over again. The goal needs to be teeny tiny. It needs to be easy. It needs to be something that you already know you can do and you can't fail. It needs to be that small. So there's the commitment. Create the goal, try it for a week. Don't commit to it for 6 months, for God's sake. Give yourself tiny, tiny achievements. When you get to the end of that week, we celebrate ourselves. You celebrate yourselves and check back in with your inner child and just celebrate her. Tell her what she needed to hear and what she needs to hear. And when you do achieve that tiny goal, just like you would a child that you were raising yourself, you make a massive deal out of it. Theo, now 11 months old, every time he goes to stand up, I'm like, yay! Your inner child needs to hear, yay, Sam, oh my God, you're awesome. If no one else is doing it, you do it for you. Okay, so that's the commitment. We set the goal, we do it, we celebrate it. That's not where we finished. We haven't then, oh, that's okay. I'm healed. I'm fixed. No, we have to repeat this process. We have to build it like a muscle. Self-acceptance comes through repetition and practice, and continually going through this stage of asking and connecting with ourselves, asking the questions, finding out what we need to know, doing something, applying it, achieving it on repeat. One way that I love to help amplify this, though, is through EFT, emotional freedom technique. Now, I'm not going to do that with you today. You've seen me do it before. Pretty sure in 12 Days of You, there's the video of me actually doing the last video. I did EFT the last day. The 12th day, I did an EFT tapping routine on that. You can go and have a look at that in here. But I am going to share with you now a lovely mantra that you can just play and listen to, written for you. And by amplifying, it's all about hearing positive affirmations and mantras and words and language that our body can absorb through our senses, either by reading the words, that's very powerful, hearing the words, very powerful. So after this live, when I share it, I record it and put it in the group, I will type out the text onto it of this mantra as well. So again, you can read the mantra and you can pause the video, get yourself comfortable, ready, sitting down nicely somewhere. And then when you're ready, you can play and sit and listen to this mantra after you've gone through all of that and just amplify the process. Okay. Hand on heart. Take a deep breath. Breathing in, relaxation. Breathing out any unnecessary tension. Longer on the exhale. I honor and accept myself just as I am, with all my imperfections and flaws. I am worthy of love and compassion, and I deserve to treat myself with kindness and respect. I hear the emotions that rise within me, and I allow myself to feel them fully in my body, expanding out to my spirit without judgment. I trust my body's wisdom. I know that it always knows what's best for me. I am grateful for my unique strengths and qualities, and I embrace my individuality. I am whole, complete, and I love myself unconditionally. There you go. Now, with mantras, you can repeat that. You could just keep playing that over and over. You could write it for yourself. You could get creative with the pen and allow those words to come to you, so it's your own language, your own choices. Or you can be inspired by things you read in books on the internet. You can search for them. It doesn't matter, as long as soon as you hear that inner critic, you straight away tap into that, stop, short circuit that habit, and go through the process that I've taken you through today on this video, and you will start paving the way forward to self-acceptance. So take care, have a lovely week, and I'll see you next week. Bye.